Hello and welcome back to Best Bets. What's going on? I am Matt O'Leary, joined by Newsday's Joe Manniello. Joe, how's it going?
Doing good, Matt. How are you?
Doing pretty good. It was a 3-2 week for both of us in week 16. So you're at 41-44-1. I'm at 34-51-2, and hopefully find our way in the win column once again here in week 17.
Yes, week 17, which usually is the toughest week, but this week is not the last week of the season, so we'll have to see what week 18 has in store for us.
Absolutely. So we'll get us started with the Jets and the Buccaneers. The Bucs are big favorites in this one. It's at 13 points. What's the play here?
Yeah, it's a huge number, but I don't see how you can take the Jets in this game. Tom Brady's 29-7. I'm pretty sure that's the right number. 29-7 all time against the Jets from his days in New England, and I see a lopsided score here. Last week I bet against the Bucs because I picked against the Bucs because they were so hurt from the previous week that I figured Carolina would show up, and they won 32-6 in the division game. So I think the Jets will score more than 6 points, but I think the Bucs cover this number easily. Maybe like a 34-17 kind of game. Maybe even worse than that, 34-13. I don't see it being competitive. Got Todd Bowles' defense coming back. I think they'll be pumped up for that. Maybe even try to get a shutout against Zach Wilson. And I just don't see how the Jets are going to hang around. The Bucs fighting for the one seed in the NFC, and the Jets' early season magic against the Titans and the Bengals. That was so long ago. I just don't see them even coming close to an upset here. So the number's high, but it won't feel that high when it's 21-0. So I'll lay the points easily. Bucs -13.
Yeah, I agree with you here. I think just the Tampa Bay offense is going to be too good. And I know they're missing some key pieces, but even if it's just Antonio Brown and Rob Gronkowski, I think that'll be more than enough for Tampa Bay to put up, a ton of points on this Jets defense, which has struggled and, pretty much outside of last week against Jacksonville. Really let up some pretty big gaudy numbers. So I think the Buccaneers could push for 40 points in this game. And if that's the case, I don't see how the Jets are anywhere within 2 touchdowns. The offense has been okay since Zach Wilson's come back, and I think he'll play okay in this game, but I don't know, maybe 40-17, something like that. I don't think they keep it within 20. So we will go to the other local, the Giants, who are going on the road to the Chicago Bears. Bears are favored in this one by 5.5. Who do you like here?
Oh, the number's down to 5.5 at the 6 for most of the week. Okay. I'm still going to take the Giants. I finally found a game where I can take the Giants. This is more about the Bears to me. I don't see why they should be favored 5.5 over anyone except maybe the Jaguars. So the Bears have, in their last 12, I'm pretty sure they're 2-10. And the 2 wins are by 2 points against the Lions on Thanksgiving and 1 point last week at Seattle. So they won 2 games by a total of 3 points in the last 3 months, basically. So even if they win, I think it's going to be a close game. The Giants' offense stinks. We all know that. But you got Mike Lennon against his old team. Maybe that can, spark some fire in him. Who knows? But when I think of this game, the first numbers that jumped out to me were 17-13. So I feel like it's that kind of game. First to 17 wins, low-scoring game. 5.5 points. Doesn't seem like that many points to the average bettor, but it's a lot for a game like this. So I'm taking the Giants here. If they can score in that 13, 17 point range, I feel like this will be a lock for them to cover. I don't see the Bears blowing them out. So I feel like I have to take the Giants here plus 5.5.
I'm going with the Bears here, but I'm kind of reluctant with it at 5.5. You're right. It is a big number. I just can't bet with Mike Glennon. I just, with how bad this Giants offense has been, Fromm was awful last week and they ended up going back to Glennon, but I just don't think that they're going to have enough. I think we're looking at maybe like a 17-6 kind of game. Giants kick a couple of field goals. I think Chicago should be a little bit better offensively, especially against this Giants defense, but I mean, if the Giants did end up covering, I wouldn't be shocked here, but this is more of just an anti-Giants play right now than it is a pro-Bears play for me.
Yeah.
As for our game of the week, this should be a good one. It's the Kansas City Chiefs and the Cincinnati Bengals. The Chiefs are favored by 5.5. Who do we like here?
Yeah, this should be a good game here. Bengals are in first place in the AFC North. Chiefs already locked up first place in the AFC West. I feel like you have to take the Chiefs here. Last week I was going to take them but then they had some COVID issues, so I backed off and I took the Steelers. I think you did too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things you talk yourself into. I mean, the Chiefs, the way they're playing right now, I wrote my column. It's not a word, unbettable, but they were unbettable at one point, and now they look like they're unbeatable. So I think you got to lay the number here. If they win by 3 or 4, so be it. Like I always say, better team. If they win and don't cover, it's just tough luck. But I think you lay the 5.5. I feel like the line is almost they almost want you to take Cincinnati here 5.5. They're off a huge win against Baltimore. But it's about the Bengals. I mean, they're 4-0 against the Steelers and the Ravens, but outside of the division, they've been inconsistent. They lost at home to the Chargers a few weeks ago. They laid some duds here. And I think the Chiefs are the way that defense is playing. They've won 8 in a row. The last 6 have all been covers, and the defense is only allowing like 12.8 points a game, 12.9 points. So they once were one of the worst defenses in the league, and now the last 2 months they've been playing unbelievable. So I don't see how the Bengals are going to win this game. So considering I think that the Chiefs are going to win, I think you just lay the number. And Joe Burrow, he's not throwing 500 yards against Kansas City here. So I'm going to go with Mahomes. They're getting a bunch of players back from the COVID list, and I think they win this game something like maybe 27-20, 30-20, something like that.
Yeah, I'm with you again here. I like the Chiefs a lot this week, and it's not anti-Bengals. They've been playing good football, and they're probably going to win the AFC North, but just with how good Kansas City's been, and you mentioned it, that defense is playing really good football. Early on in the year, they were giving up 30-plus points every single week, but they've really turned it around here. They're going to start to get a little bit healthy, and it just seems like they hit their stride at the right point going into the playoffs. And I know it's a road game. 5.5 seems like a lot for the Chiefs going on the road, but with just how they've been rolling right now, I don't see how you could possibly pick against them. So if I'm wrong, so be it, but I'm right there with you on that Chiefs bandwagon right now at 5.5. How about a best bet? What sticks out to you?
Yeah, unfortunately, the games I like the most this week are all the big spreads, which I hate to do usually because anyone can pick. Anyone can say, "Oh, yeah, this team's going to win." But sometimes those are actually harder to take because it's such a huge spread, so they got to not only win the game, but they got to crush the team. So there was one game that jumped out to me: Buffalo Bills at home against the Falcons. I think they're favored by 14.5.
Yep.
At first, it sounds too much, but I almost feel like Vegas knows. I went back and looked at Buffalo's schedule this year. All 9 of their wins have been by double digits, and only one of those wins last week, 33-21 at New England, would not have covered the spread. So when they play teams below them, they crush them. They did it to the Texans at home, 40-0. They beat the Dolphins twice by big numbers when the Dolphins were bad. They crushed the Jets. They beat up on bad teams. So I feel like there won't be a letdown after the New England win because they know they need to win out to win the division. They're home. The Falcons have beaten some bad teams this year, but when they play the better teams, they usually get blown out. Tampa Bay, New England, just name a few. I think just name a couple. I think that this has I think the Bills could lay a 40 burger on them here, like they did against the Jets, 41-17. I think this is a blowout. This is one of those games where it's 14-0 before you even sit down, and I think the Falcons are in over their head. And the Bills are going to, I think last week's win only going to build off of that. And next week they got the Jets. They're going to crush the Jets too. And they'll be the AFC East champs. So the Bills, last week's win was huge for them. It could be a season changer. Who knows? Maybe they can go on a run and go to the Super Bowl beating New England on the road. So I think they're just going to crush the Falcons here. So I'll call it 41-17 Buffalo.
Okay, I agree with you. That's a big number, but I like Buffalo a lot this week. I'm going to go with the Rams minus 4.5 over Baltimore for my best bet. I know the Rams haven't looked like themselves from earlier in the year, but I think it's a bad spot for Baltimore. Lamar Jackson returned to practice this week, but he still looks banged up, so don't know if he's going to be able to go. And I don't know if with the backup quarterback, if they're going to be able to keep pace with this Rams offense. And defensively, Baltimore just gave up a ton of yardage to Joe Burrow, and they've done that all year long. The defense is really underwhelmed. So I actually like the Rams a lot this week. I think they cover that number pretty easily.
It's 4.5. I thought it was 3.5. Must have went up today.
Yeah, it moved.
Okay.
How about an underdog, Joe?
All right, I'm gonna go with the same game. We're gonna go opposite. Head picks here. I'm gonna go with the Ravens plus 4.5. What you said is true. But I think Lamar Jackson is going to play. And even if he doesn't play, I think Hundley's going to play. So you're not going to have Josh Johnson former Jets starter this year. So I think with either of those guys in here, I think the number is too big. And the Rams should win. I mean, they won 4 in a row. The Ravens have lost 4 in a row. The Rams are in first place now. The Ravens are not in first place. So everything says to take the Rams here, but I don't know. The Ravens, I like taking desperate teams at home with their seasons on the line. And before last week's blowout at the Bengals, the previous 3 losses for the Ravens were by 1, 2, and 3 points, I'm pretty sure. So they've been playing nothing but close games here. They almost beat the Packers. They almost beat the Steelers, but they went for 2 both times and didn't get it. So I think this is another close game at the end, 27-24 kind of game. So I like the Ravens getting the points in a desperate spot at home. And I think Jackson plays, but even if he doesn't, I think Hundley can cover this number.
All right. And for my underdog play, I'm going back to the team I took last week, but hoping for some better luck with Pittsburgh plus 3.5 over Cleveland. The number that jumps out to me here on this one is Mike Tomlin as a home underdog, 14-3-2. Downright dominant at home. Cleveland's been reeling. I know the Steelers' offense hasn't been any good, but this has probably Ben Roethlisberger's last home game as a Pittsburgh Steeler, so I think they feed off of that, feed off the crowd, and win a divisional game in a team that they normally tend to dominate in the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, it's funny. The 14-3-2 line number is also, I think they're 3-0 this year as a home underdog, and Roethlisberger has big numbers too, and I think they're 7-0 since 2018. It's the same number. But something about this game, I don't know what it is. I think it's I like the Browns a lot. I don't know why, but I think they're going to win the game. I think it has to do more with they went into last year in the playoffs and won 48-37. And I don't know, last week I feel like they had Green Bay beat, and they Mayfield threw 4 picks, and they had some questionable calls by the refs. I don't know. I think the Steelers, but they look like they're toast to me. So even though all those numbers are true, and if you're just betting based off that, I mean, it's a logical pick. But I'm going with my gut on this one. I think the Browns are going to win.
All right, so we'll run through these real quick. Both Joe and I are on the Bucs minus 13 over the New York Jets. For the Bears and the Giants, I like the Bears at minus 5.5, and Joe is on them plus 5.5 on the Giants plus 5.5. For our game of the week, the Bengals and the Chiefs, both on the Chiefs minus 5.5. My best bet is Rams minus 4.5. Joe's going with Buffalo minus 14.5 over Atlanta. For the underdog, Joe likes Baltimore plus 4.5 over the Rams, and I like Pittsburgh plus 3.5 over Cleveland. So that'll do it for us in week 17. Thanks so much for joining me, Joe.
All right, Matt, great job. Thank you.